actually, I believe our fourth educational panel that I put together at these shows, and I think it's a well-needed, especially at the shows. We did one, of course, in Atlanta, and I'm sure we've got another one coming up there, something else planned for Atlanta. Yeah, it's great to come to the shows to buy and sell and trade and everything, but what's behind the people that are actually doing these shows, whether it's a show promoter, whether it's a dealer, whether it's a guy that's just, you know, flipping his way up to success, whether it's a company that's a grading company, what's behind these guys? Four really good guys up on the panel here today. Prizm Gawd, as everyone knows him, Raphael.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Shout out to Prizm Gawd right there at the Culture Collision Trade Show. Speaking of another show, we've got the Union Marketplace, right? Union Marketplace, Alex. And then, last but not least, you guys see him at all the shows, all the major shows, and he's been adding a lot to the hobby over the last several years. We've got Mike from Marx Cards, who's well-versed in a lot of areas in the sports card hobby. So I think one of the main reasons for doing this, like I said, is put some education back into the shows and learn a little bit of what it takes to become, you know, in a sports card, what we call hobby hustler, as well as to grow your sports card business. Because if you're doing this full time, if you're looking to do this full time, listen to these guys up here and get a lot of knowledge from them. We appreciate each and every one of you joining us, especially live right now on Instagram. Yes, we are live from Las Vegas, and you know, a lot of times we come to these shows and we come to buy, we come to sell. We don't really know the people behind that are doing all these shows, right? So, Prizm Gawd, you've been doing this for quite some time, right? You started out flipping, you started out buying and selling. Now you're promoting shows, the Culture Collision shows, and the topic that I came up for you, which I think, you know, fits you 100%, which is flipping your way up to success with sports cards. And for those of the people that are out there that are looking to do this full time, or that are just getting into it, they're looking to grow that end of the business. How did you come about? You had to have your first card when you bought it, you flipped it, you moved into something else. Give them in a short story how you flipped your way up to success in some ways that you could, you know, give them advice to help them move up the ladder. You don't have to have your mask on.
Okay. All right, so that's a good topic. Flipping my way to success. I have a lot of stories that kind of are very similar to what you're saying. Like, you know, you buy a car, you make the right decision, you move it, you make profit, you keep going. I think it's just one of those things that just stay active. You stay active and try to figure out a way to engulf yourself in the industry, so to speak. So that's kind of where I put myself. I put myself in a place where I just engulf myself in something I love to do. I recognized there was a lot of areas of opportunity in the industry. And I think as well as companies like HGA, Investacard, all these companies out here, they realize there's an area of opportunity and a need for certain things. And I think that as a collector, right, who knows better the needs that I think we need than us, right? So I think as a collector first, and as an investor second, I felt like I had an opportunity there to try to pursue, trying to do my own show. So I think Culture Collision, what we're really trying to do is just focus on recreating the show. We want to make something exciting, something brand new, and bring you something that you've never seen. And I think it just kind of came from the whole success story. We started from the beginning and buying a car and flipping it and just going to different shows. I mean, I've been to hundreds of shows at this point. I feel like I've seen a lot of positive things, I've seen a lot of negative things, and I just try to take the good with the bad, and I try to, recreate things.
So, flipping your way up to success, you started flipping cards, and from that, you've taken those profits and you reinvested it back into yourself, back into your sports card business. Some of that went into creating this this show that you got, Culture Collision, you flipped your way up to being your own show promoter to a point where you're having a huge show, right? You've got a huge show with 400 or 500 tables, but somewhere along the line, you flipped your first card and your second card. What are some of the cards that you can remember, some of the cards that you flipped to get to the next level that you made, you know, some huge return? What are some of your best flips?
You still have that Damian Lillard? You still have that Damian Lillard?
I'll backtrack a little bit. So I'll tell you one of my best flips when I was younger. I got back into the industry in 2017 when I realized that there was an opportunity to make money in the hobby. It came from 2017 Prizm. For those what I was buying, so I became Prizm Gawd. I love Prizm, right? So I bought Donovan Mitchell off somebody off Facebook. I bought the jersey number 45 out of 29, I think it was Disco Blue, I want to say. And I BGS 10. So I bought a car for $150. BGS 10, and I think I sold it for like $2 grand. I'm thinking to myself, like, that was easy. And I think from there, I just kind of kept going. I mean, of course, the industry has changed, right? Because we can't grade those $150 cards anymore. We have all these different options, but back then was a lot simpler, in my opinion. It's a little different now than what it was then. But that was one of my flips that kind of made me realize that there was an opportunity for me to make money. Because even back then, I had another job that I was doing, so it was just like I was just doing it part time and just was enjoying the moment. Because I had just got back into the industry. But that was one of my flips I really recall that really kind of jump-started for me. It was Donovan Mitchell's.
That's good to know.
Flipping your way up to success.
There you go.
And, you know, you can do that a lot in this hobby, right? Lots of change, as he said, over the last couple of years in the hobby. And speaking of changes, lots of changes on the grading side, right? Huge. We went through a whole, you know, point there where companies closed down, Mike. They shut down their grading, and a lot of our businesses, our business models revolved around the grading, right?
Oh yeah.
Huge submission groups that took in, we hired people, we rented office space, and then all of a sudden, no more submissions, no more grading because they just paused grading. So it hurt our end of the business. And I know for you, you had a big submission group. One of the biggest submission groups out there is Marx Cards. Shout out to Marx Cards right there.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
You had to go through a transition where you had to sort of learn how to pivot your sports card business, where a lot of your time and energy was going into just the submission groups, right? And then you pivoted your business to opening up your own card store.
Yes.
So tell that story, how you went from just a submission group to opening up a card store to actually going live on some of these platforms like Whatnot and so on and so forth.
So early on, starting this, it was a pivot. Starting the Instagram and the grading, especially. I wanted to get into the grading. So once that shut down, you have to kind of think. Well, even prior to the shutdown, our whole thing, I guess, for me, has been like vertical integration. So being able to do a whole bunch of different things with just a single card. So once PSA shut down, it kind of accelerated everything. And it put into motion, us getting a card shop out in Camarillo. And then with that, you have your card shop, your brick and mortar, but you have to be able to generate a little more than that. And I think, having two little kids helps because they always tell you they're bored. So you always have to kind of be on your toes and keep your eyes and ears on the ground. And so we started adding, Instagram live breaks. We started adding Whatnot, we're on Whatnot. And then even with the Whatnot, we're still kind of fine tuning that on multiple days on what we're doing, whether it's, spins or whether it's singles. And, so it's all been a transition and pivot. I think for us, it's just kind of keeping your eyes and ears open and know that, change isn't always bad. It certainly doesn't help that, a big revenue stream is down. However, with us, it's just kind of just keeping it in the moment and just staying positive with it. There's been a lot of love here, a lot of support. And so with that, we just kind of kept in perspective and know that we have to be able to add more things to it. And again, our team, my wife, my brother and his wife, we're always sitting down talking what other ideas are going to be for next week and the following week and what can we do. So it's just kind of trying to stay ahead as best you can.
Yeah, for any business owner that is, supporting their family and employing people, you get, you worry a little bit, right?
Oh yeah.
So, when that whole thing went down with PSA, what was that like? Where you sat down, and you said with the group of people that you care for and you do business with, and you say, well, what's next, right? What's next? How do we create another revenue stream?
Correct.
And this is how it came about with the whole store.
Yeah, the store, the breaking and all that. I guess growing up, I was a baseball player, so it's never goes as expected, right? So you're kind of there and you see it, and it's what do you make of it? And we just try to make lemonade with the lemons we were given, and it wasn't easy. It's certainly as we continue to transition into a full-fledged card shop for the community, there's still a lot to do, and we're excited about it.
What are some of the other things that you're working on that you might talk about outside of like the regular live shows that you do and some of the shows? What are some other stuff that you've been thinking about that could innovate or?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, it's we're actually creating an app. So we'll have the Marx card app that will launch within the next month. For us, the word was efficiency. So once we go through, again, as you're grading, you're going to want to find, where's your order, what was your order, putting that all app-based along with our store, keeping our store app-based, and then a lot of the information app-based. So that's kind of going to come along in the next, hopefully in the next month. We're almost complete.
Where do you think we'll be at in terms of the PSA, and I know you do a lot of business with them, where do you think we'll be at in terms of the grading as we lead into the next question, the future of grading? Where do you think we shall be at 12 months from now? Because I know I see PSA chugging along and moving along. Things are opening back up, right?
Correct.
They're moving a lot of
oh yeah,
a lot of orders out, and hopefully they'll be opening up another service level here soon. Where do you think we'll be at in 12 months?
That's a great question. I try to even think where we're going to be at by the end of the year. Especially the way I see it, there's a lot of cards as we've been to the shows over the last few months. There's a lot of raw cards out there. Cards do need to get graded. There's no doubt about it. One, it gives them a legitimate market. Because a raw card, it's always tough to deal with the raw card. So again, to answer your question, I think moving forward, there's going to be a lot more raw cards that are going to be graded. That's kind of going to be the game plan, obviously, with the other grading companies involved, with PSA possibly opening. The interesting part is going to be just the pricing structure. Where does the pricing structure of the grading fees fit into the pricing structure of where the card values are? And I know that was kind of a big thing early on is, you were able to grade, for $12, $15. Prizm Gawd got his 10, his BGS 10, he probably paid $35 for the grade. So it's kind of being able to fit in, where does the price fit in with the card values? So, to answer that question, it'll be interesting. The card values right now, it seems they're gaining some value, more, a little more traction, especially the basketball stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, only time will tell. Changes, lots of changes in the grading, Mike, in the space over the last couple of years. You've experienced not only grading with PSA, but you've tried a few other grading companies that you've opened up submission groups for?
Yeah, that's correct. Well, we currently use SGC right now also. And again, that's just, where the cards fit, right? Where do your cards fit? Your base LaMelo balls and all that stuff. Where does it fit to get it graded? So,
I think the future is bright for grading. I think it's not like it's going to go away. And people
absolutely
stop
not.
grading.
No. It's the authenticity of the sale. Like that's why years ago when I was thinking about it, I'm like, there's these cards here, and again, I'm a paranoid guy really anyway. So I'm like, if I'm going to sell this, how do we know the legitimacy of it? So that's why I said having your card authenticated and graded is. It's very important, especially to make that transactional sell. And especially at Prizm Gawd's values, he's going to want to make sure, when he's buying his cards that they're, they're set.
Yeah, listen, if you went back just a couple of years ago, yes, you could go out and buy a card, a raw card, for X amount or whatever, and make 5 times that amount, 6 times, 8 times, 10 times that amount. A little bit less, a little bit more challenging now, but there are still opportunities to find good raw cards and get them graded.
Absolutely.
And not only graded, but also maybe recased, right? Maybe something's been in an older case for some time, you put it into a newer case, much more shinier, and you know, you're able to get a little bit more value for that.
Yeah, and with the newer cases also, they'll have the newer security codes on them, right? So
I know that there's a lot of, you know, opportunities out there, guys that are, you know, recasing cards, or you know, or as they call them, switching them over from whether it's BGS to PSA.
The good crossover game.
Crossover, yes,
Yeah.
good crossover game. And that's it's everyone has their own niche, right? Everyone has their own niche. Union Marketplace. Alex is in the house. Shout out to Alex.
There you go, Alex.
And, Alex, growth of sports card shows and how to start your own. And I know that, you know, you can definitely lend some knowledge. You just came off your first show. You've been doing shows for a little bit now, but you didn't always do shows. You started just in the regular game, right? The regular hustle, buying, selling, and then you went into, you know, creating the Union Marketplace. Why don't you tell them a little bit about the Union Marketplace, because it is out here on the West Coast, and tell them all about it, and then go into and tell them, you know, just a short story on how did you sort of pivot from just a regular buy and seller to actually promoting your own shows, and how does someone out there can start their own show in their city?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I got a partner not here with me, but so Wiley, Nostalgia Captain, partner. So I think first and foremost, when getting involved in this space, you got to really surround yourself with successful people that can beat deadlines, that can have the same vision as you, and be able to work just as hard. Because there's a lot, I mean, hats off to Dakota, wherever Dakota's at.
Yeah, Dakota.
Hats off to Dakota, because this is no easy task. And each and every one of these guys up here will tell you there's a lot behind the scenes that you don't see. You know, it's sleepless nights. You're getting text messages, phone calls at 1 o'clock in the morning. You got to respond to them. But I think the main thing that you know, I and Prizm Gawd are talking about is you got to create value. You got to continue to create value for this industry as a whole, and you have to find different, innovative ways to continue to get this market to come together and create value. And this type of thing, educational thing, I'm huge on. Anything to educate the new people coming in, and also the guys who have kind of been stuck in their ways, you gotta have them see a different mindset. So shows you're on the front line, you're networking, you're meeting these people, and I think there's a lot of value there that you can't just skip over.
Right? That each and every one of us has. And I talk about it at Cultural Collision all the time, which is, my theme for the show is we are the hobby, right? So it's the relationship that we build every time we go to each and every one of these shows, when we talk to each other. We are responsible for coming together and making this show special. It's not just the co-op, it's not just the sponsors, it's everybody cohesively working together, right? Because it's the buy, sell, and the trade. It can't happen without all tangible parts matter. So I think that once you understand that, there's really not a bad show unless you make a bad show. So I go to many shows, and there's some shows where I don't necessarily I don't gain anything but relationships. But did I gain something? Yeah, I did. I might have sold a table. I might have talked to somebody, and you know, they weren't getting sponsored. Or I talked about an idea that branched into a different idea. And so I think that, you know, once you realize those things, you can become successful as a show promoter before you even have the show. So I think that when I initially did Cultural Collision, in my opinion, I just wanted to just put my idea out there. I wanted to build off my relationships that I already had. And I think that's very important when you want to try to build your show and become successful. You have to have those relationships, and you have to be able to put it all online and just give it your all. And if you do that, you'll be successful even if you feel like maybe somebody said you failed. Maybe you didn't sell 500 tables, maybe you sold 300. But still, you did well. So I just say to anybody that wants to focus on doing the show, just just put your thinking cap on and be a forward thinker and continue to create good ideas and try to push the envelope on these shows. And I love to see that. In my opinion, I feel like our voice has been very vocal about it. I like to see the fact that I love to see promoters push the envelope and continue to make things better. So I think that as we do that, we'll continue to have more successful shows, and we'll get to a space where we'll see something different. But the new question you asked about when it comes to financial literacy, I think being liquid is very important because most people want cash. Most people want, because I can't speak for another person's bills or whatever they have going on, but I think being able to be liquid allows you to do more. So I think being able to use, companies like Investacard to be able to take equity out of my cards, right? Because maybe I paid $5,000 and maybe he's willing to give me $10,000 and I can use that money and still retain actual ownership of that card. I think that's a very unique situation to be in, right? Because you can buy a card today and it's 1x and then 6 months later it's 10x, and then you can take equity out of it and still continue to be a player in the game, so to speak. So I think it's a really great opportunity for new collectors.
Yeah, new things are always coming about in the hobby, and we're going to see a lot of new things, I think, over the next 4 or 5 years. And I know, Mike, you've created a show. You started your own show, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, on a smaller level.
Yeah, no, I took his advice and started on a smaller level. That's for sure. Yeah.
Not like.
Yeah, ours was out front of our shop, so it was a lot more condensed when it comes to like the venue and the event space. Because again, I can only imagine what went into putting all this in, getting all the vendors to be set up on time to here. I mean, yeah, it's
managing expectations,
yes.
And servicing is a key. And even HCA, Tyler, he's looking to promote shows as well, right? In the local area, trying to monetize on some things, right? Is that in the works? And Mike?
Yeah, you can actually make it an all-California event. Yeah, so we're actually hosting one at our show at our shop December 11th. That's a Saturday, so come down to California on Saturday or even Friday night, catch our show, then drive down to Pechanga and go ahead and catch the Union Marketplace show. Because actually, that's what actually happened the last time. It was perfect. We had guys come from out of state, flew in, seen our show Saturday, and then drove out Sunday to Pechanga and then came on home.
Sure. So, I mean, Canacard, December 11th, December 12th. I mean, we could definitely make another trip out to California. We love coming out to the West Coast and